Hey guys, it's Jennifer. Today is Monday, June 3rd. Happy June. We're halfway through the year, if you can believe that. All right, so for this week, I really feel like after the reading that I did the other day, which was the longer channeled message that I did instead of the cards last week, I feel like we're all in this place right now where this next 6 months is really about moving forward. So what I want to have the intention of this week, what I feel like my guides are saying right now is that the one thing that we all need to be aware of is kind of like what's still blocking us, what's still in our way. So I was just going to ask what is being hidden. So I'm going to use the Colette Baron Reed A Wisdom of the Hidden Realms deck. And so as I pull these, just imagine like right now, if you're turning into the recording, I'm going to pull 3 cards. So just kind of already set your intention as you're listening of if that's going to be 1, 2, or 3. And I'm actually just going to shuffle now. Pick 3. I really feel like our guides are just saying that it's really time to move forward and really not to be afraid of the blocks that we have, not to be afraid of like, because they really don't need to be blocks anymore. That's what I'm hearing, is that these things that we have that are blocking us, like we can kind of hold on to them as like sometimes our limiting beliefs almost become like security blankets where they really are not saving us or not helping us, but we're just so used to being in that energy that like we almost aren't sure how to move forward from it. So it's kind of like, just know right now that it's really safe to let go of any of the insecurities, any of the, you know, the things that you feel are blocks. Instead of saying like, oh, I have this block, look at it and say, what is this block? And like, why is it there? And how can I let go of it? And what's going on? So I'm just going to start going through the 3 cards that I chose. So whichever one resonates with you, 1, 2, or 3. The first one, it says the hungry ghosts. And so to me, it's almost like it shows these fairies and they're like looking around like, I wonder what's out there. um, it's the card itself says obsessions, scarcity consciousness, and attachment. So actually that is exactly what I was just saying. Like, where are you attached to that limiting belief or that block? And maybe why? Like maybe it's because in reality, maybe you feel like it's keeping you safe, right? So for Colette Baron Reed's deck, it says the hungry ghosts appear on your path. They may not at first seem like allies because they represent your constant focus on the past and the consuming desire to know the future, which is actually going to rob you of your true present. So it's again, I feel like we're supposed to be focusing on the now, like focus on it's almost like a new chapter, right? Like, and I don't know how to explain it other than it really feels like this next couple months is like a doorway to a brand new life. Like, and I that was the overall card I think from the last reading was it's literally like a whole new world um on the other side of this. So maybe start really tuning into yourself as to where am I holding on to things? Where am I just afraid to make changes? Because again, sometimes it's not even about really having a block or really having a limiting belief, but it's more of a just a routine and a habit, and it feels safe, and you don't want to have to do things new because you just don't want to have to create the new routine, right? So maybe look and see, where are you attached to the way you're doing things? Where can you maybe, challenge yourself, like not in a scary or bad way, but just where can you say, maybe I'll try this, um so again, it's okay. So the card says the message is for you to examine whether you're doing the same thing over and over while expecting a different result. So like I was just saying, it's like being stuck in that pattern. This time will be different and I have no control over this are both false statements and a sign of deep denial of truth. Now is the time to let go of that thinking, surrender your will, your life, your heart's desire, and all that pains you to the divine. Order will be restored in your world. The hungry ghost also brings understanding about the distractions of life that seduce you into forgetting what you really desire. This kind of like autopilot, right? Like you can just get in that like stuck mode just because you're doing it the same way because it's routine now. They're asking you to become aware that what others want and what other cultures dictate will make you happy. Let's see. Sorry, let me read this again. Oh, they're asking you to become aware that what others want and what other cultures dictate um, is maybe not what's in your best interest. So it may make them happy, or that might be what culture says is supposed to make you happy, but that may not be what's best for you. So don't get caught up in outside appearances. All that glitters may not be gold, at least for you. And I think this kind of goes back again to that reading last week where you have to do what's right for you and let go of what everybody else says. And really tuning into that now is going to be kind of in the best interest of everybody. Like we're really being called into our own new life and our own new way of being, really. Like it's so beyond just like a new life. I don't know how to explain that, but it just feels like this next couple months is really good practice for us to learn how to step into this new way of being, this new life. So the way to do that is to get clear on what you really want and what really works for you, and doing what feels good for you, even if other people don't understand it, because that's going to happen, right? So yeah, so if card 1 is resonating with you, and maybe they all will, so just whichever cards resonate with you, totally do what feels right for you. But that's kind of where things are feeling today for card 1, is it's just that. So lack consciousness, like being afraid of, there's a lack of something, is what scarcity consciousness is. So knowing that's not really true, and then being obsessed with old ways or old habits or old ways of doing things. So just challenge yourself to be able to let go of fear and move into the new with excitement. Okay, so card 2 is the Shadow Queen, and it says on the card, acquiring knowledge, insecurity, and manipulation. Now that sounds a little bit drastic, but I think sometimes what my guides are showing me right now is like, sometimes manipulation happens and we don't even realize that what's what we're doing, but we're almost like, yeah, come on, do this with me, or do this for me, or do it this way, or whatever. And we really aren't trying to manipulate anybody. Like that's not our specific intent, but it's almost like because we want them so much, no, do it like this. Like we kind of guilt them into doing things. And that's not going to work in this new energy, because again, everybody's being called to this new level of doing life in their new way, right? So that's not going to help us anymore. So that's something we need to let go of. So it's saying the Shadow Queen tells you that too many of the details hidden behind your circumstances prevent you from moving forward at this time. So maybe somebody's doing this to you, right? She has come with a lantern to help you shed light on what's concealed within your situation. This is a time to wait for more to be revealed. Perhaps you lack the clarity and the knowledge of how to proceed in the subject about your inquiry. It's time to educate yourself a little bit more about your intention and then put that information to work for you. The Shadow Queen asks that you dig deep to gain strength, and that you have the courage to ask someone in the know, quote unquote, to shed light on your circumstances. She promises to send that person to you quickly. Be aware of moving too quickly in the dark, as you will end up, or you will likely trip and fall and have to start again. So this is just saying, like, I really feel like what this is like, this next couple months is really going to be like putting a spotlight on the things that aren't working for you. So be aware of where maybe you're trying to get people to come along with what you want them to do. And then also at the same token, be aware of where you're being manipulated and doing things that you know aren't in alignment for you. So it's tuning in even more deeply to knowing what's right for you and what isn't. And then letting go of the judgment about it, right? So not judging yourself if you don't like it, or not telling yourself, oh, I should like that because everybody else does, or whatever. Like really, really tuning in and being okay with yourself in what you want. So Yeah, I think it just means literally, like, all I'm seeing is, like, somebody's shining a spotlight on whatever isn't serving you. So however that's showing up for you, like, there's things will be brought to light in the next couple months. We'll just put it that way. Again, nothing to be afraid of, right? This isn't anything bad. This is just the next process of growth, the next thing that you can learn to move on in your journey, right? So it's actually kind of good because you'll be able to see some things a little bit more clearly. Um, and don't be afraid of it. Like, be like, okay, let's shine the spotlight and let me get all of the obstacles out of the way. It's kind of what I'm feeling like. Instead of being like, oh, I'm afraid of the dark, be like, no, get that spotlight out as big and bright as you can and let me clear whatever. I don't want to trip, so let's just clear the pathway. Um, and then the next card, it says the Camel Boy, and it's card 33, and it says small steps asking for help. So, this card, it's interesting because it's interesting to me that he's playing a flute. So there's something with that. But let me see what it says. When the Camel Boy comes as your ally, he reminds you that asking for help will bring in the right people to ease the burden of your life. Perhaps a wise person appears to give you advice. Maybe you're moving and suddenly a couple of friends offer to give you a hand with your packing. Or you want information about someone and you just happen to run into his former partner who gives you the knowledge you need to make the decision you've been weighing. No matter what the issue, this is a sign that if you ask, you will receive what you need. Synchronicity is engaged when you request assistance. The Camel Boy never lets you down when you ask for help in lightening your load. Now is the time to do so and expect to get it. Okay, so this is basically just telling us that we have divine help, right? So on your own spiritual journey, don't try to rush it, just take small steps, right? And I feel like part of this too is like getting a clear intention of how you want to move forward and then being brave enough to ask for the divine help to set things up that way, because that's the one thing that we sometimes forget that our guides do is they really are on our team and they are really trying to orchestrate things behind the scenes um so that it is easier for us. So I feel like maybe if you're at that space where you are trying to do everything yourself, maybe it's time to remember you don't have to do it all on your own and that you can ask for help. And like you've got guidance. And maybe that's what the flute means, is because he's on a camel but he's got a flute. And I'm like, well, what, it's almost like, to me it made me think of like the Pied Piper where he like plays some flute and everybody follows. But it's not about in a bad way. It's just like, here, I'm playing this music. If you'll listen, like it'll lead you where you need to go, kind of thing. Um, so I think maybe that's just our guides trying to get our attention, to say, ask for help and we'll set things up for you. And then you'll know when the synchronicity happens. Like it'll be kind of like, hello, here it is. So overall for this week, I'm just going to tune in and see what my guides want to say, or if any of your guides want to come in, and just kind of get an overall message for the week, with knowing that this next 6 months, um, is kind of a big change. I don't even want to say turning point, because we're not changing course, we're moving forward, but it's almost like we're at the end of something and at the beginning of something new. So yeah, it's definitely like we're stepping into the new and we need to do it. um I'm trying to get clear on the words that they really want us to be intentional. And I'm hearing like concerted effort. And I don't mean that like, I know sometimes that sounds like something that's really hard. It's not really meant to be that hard. I'm gonna look up, I like to look up the words when they give me stuff like this. I'm like, what does that mean? Okay, so I looked up concerted. So concerted effort is like, okay, it literally says contrived or arranged by agreement, planned or devised together. So our guides and angels are like shouting right now from the rooftops saying, hello, work in cooperation with us. Like we're right here trying to help you. So they're saying the effort, if we agree to work with them, then it's going to be more easily arranged and planned out. So we have to be able to be in that space of knowing what we want and working with the divine to get it. Like that's kind of all of the whole reading just wrapped up into a nice little bow. It's like they want us to know that they are willing to help us. And the one thing that I will say is, like, I know I saw like Celia Finn had said like, oh my gosh, there's all these big changes. There's like a huge new moon, and there's a gateway, like 6/6 is a gateway, and then there's something else happening, and then there's a full moon, and then there's like something else in July. And like a lot of the people that I saw were like, oh my God, I can't believe all this is happening. And they're like, it's, you know, there's been so many people that have been like, this is just going to be crazy, but I don't think it's meant to be that way. So try your hardest to stay out of that, oh my God, this is going to be terrible energy. If you can not connect to that, right? Don't connect to that scared, anxious, anxiety energy, right? Which every single one of these, like the first two cards talk all about that: scarcity, obsession, attachment, insecurity, manipulation, right? Don't get into that energy, and just stay in a space to where you focus within, focus on yourself, focus on what you want, and then know that your guides are right there, ready and willing to help you. Because this is like concerted effort, which is what they told me. When you look that up, it says perform together or in cooperation. So spirit is ready to be in cooperation with you, if you're willing to surrender to that, open up to that, allow that, receive that. So maybe ask yourself, where are the blocks that I'm just not receiving the divine guidance? Where am I not allowing myself to think that I'm worthy to receive divine guidance, right? Like, there's something to that of, it's time for that to just be like, that BS is done. Like that's an old story. It's worn out. We don't need it anymore. You are worthy. Your guides and angels are right there ready to help you. And it's time for you to really have the life that you want. So what is it that you want, right? So in the next couple months, give yourself some time to really kind of tune into yourself and say, okay, what do I want for my life? What do I want to, you know, create? What do I want to, experience, right? All of those kind of things. So this is actually kind of a really exciting reading today, about just letting go of the old, stepping into the new without fear, asking for help, and knowing that you're supported all the while, like knowing that you have that full divine support to help you through this. So that's kind of exciting reading. So let me know if you guys have any questions, and I will talk to everybody soon. Bye.